the double chin of. Well, he's got actually a different kind of chin situation going on entirely. It's not an ideal comparison. Let me do something, because last time I streamed, I got cracked, dude. What? What do you mean by that? Don't you worry, listen, what I'm saying is I got clapped, rather, by YouTube. YouTube said, let me gaslight you. You think you're live? You think this audio is recording? You think your internet could handle that and has in fact done so? Get destroyed, kid. That's what happened to me. This is why my dark and evil mind has gone so villainous. It's why all hope is lost, fundamentally. Okay, nice, there is some latency, but I can confirm. That's really weird and trippy. Good stuff, though, so we can confirm this should be fine, if it saves right. Ugh, that was weird. Now I know it's happening and it feels weird knowing, even though I'm not experiencing it. Okay. Priority here. I'm gonna show you this, but just enough where you have to listen to me read it, because I'm a true businessman who's an ass like that. No, not even. This is from March 2024. I really procrastinated professionally with this one. Basically, I was in a gifted IQ Discord server, and God, they were degenerates. They really were. I'll tell you the half of it. It's a nightmare. The degeneracy rod of the more powerful human mind only allows it to express the worst elements of itself. Philosopher-esque statement. I mean, this one. Okay, hold on. So this guy, we had a little sub chat thread going on, and what this says that was cut off is, why does the field of intelligence focused people, intelligent people, gravitate towards eugenics? And someone said, I mean, this one is kind of obvious, but it's used to justify eugenics because the goal is to purify the human genome through selective breeding and other shit. It's that other shit that I'm very hung up on, but that's me, Jacker, not necessarily my chosen name, but hey, not totally wrong. By which I mean, I will rob you. He's the Jacker. He robs people. Anyway, though, dude. Skill issue. Straight up. Flat out. Purify it by being so smart you can let everyone breed and choose their ideal genetic configuration at their choice. And they'll do the right one because it's no duh at that point, and you'll have bestowed upon the lesser being your glorious power, skill, mercy, and Moggin. I miss when that, I don't miss when that was a thing. Those days being gone, welcome. More than so. Be that smart or kick yourselves out your own club, eugenicists. Design something so profoundly valuable and vastly over the top to prove the validity and stake your rightful claim to your superiority complex. Once you've produced something actually useful and then done something of actual value with it, dude, I just dyslexified myself, but it's fine. Put those innovative PC gamer genes to use for a method you could even benefit from. Are you truly satisfied with your own partially inhabited, that phrase, state of limbo and perpetual decoupling from your own true wholeness, forever unable to touch the form you so fervently insisted yourself to assume the role of, when you were always only a mere image and poser of the actualities you could have realized and enhanced but now never will, reconcile with the knowledge of the fact that all you desired this whole time, say a period already, please, was merely to kill people because you were affected by them enough to allow that victory over the stability, hang on, of your, I was checking my timeline, scrolling, it was being a little weird. Your very sense of volition itself was corrupted and hijacked by all these supposedly thoughtless beasts, and yet you could never say you truly grasped them for all they were to begin. And now tempted by these faulty meat vaults you have given into your baser defensive instincts, to eliminate that which poses a threat, you and oh so great and presently apparently and clear for the eye to see unearned and falsified sense of self-security and integrity. They might even pose a threat to your existence, and not by merit of beastly impulse, but could you bear to hear it without cracking at your core? Your dependence on them. Why such a higher and indisputably higher mode of conscious existence of yourself ever be subjugated to the actions or inactions, that didn't make sense, inactions of that which you place at the same categorical value assessments as that of cattle? Ask yourself who is really in control here. What would you be without them? Could you ever even truly separate and distinguish yourself out from such a pestilent and persistent existence? You know, that's the way they see it. To assign as though God lesser value to your peer, or at least your cohorts, all the while remaining an incomplete, impotent, fallible, and vulnerable entity that assert no rightful claim to dominion or absolution over them, even if you could, is itself the most culpable form of subhuman behavior. You're basically reptilian at that point, bloodthirsty, without a soul. So, if those guys form a union, Sigma, their sorry forms Texas style, baby. What, dude? What, dude? Sigma. Okay, I was cooking a little bit, questionably. If you break down what I'm really saying, yes, but what do you... Listen, I can't speak for what was happening there, right? I don't know, dude. No, this very highly intelligentized individual right around here, I was typing for a good hour or more. This one was the very vain and stupid thread about IQ versus looks versus physical abilities as it pertains to, you know, having any or enjoying any degree of success in life. This person and I didn't have any beef in particular. It was just, I think they were astounded by the particular way my mind worked, and they were quite a character themselves. But okay, so this is my answer to the very foundational question of this, and this ties so strongly, one of the strongest arguments I've ever made for why my method of superintelligence, as I figure or reckon it, needs to be the only way to proceed. Necessarily kind of as a singularity of it, everything falls into it. Physical abilities, I think I'm saying that's the most important. Good luck astral projecting a path to victory in a war, or constructing a warehouse. What the heck? Some weird activity just happened in my thumb. That was weird. That really genuinely doesn't make sense, but don't worry about it. In this realm is all dependent on physicality. That's true in this realm. I mean, what you can do with the physicality depends on the depth and complexity of your mental landscape to some extent, but it's still always constrained to a large degree. Next would be IQ, or whatever it represents, some form of functional consciousness. Awareness itself would be first, but that's not an item on the roster, so once capable of potency, you know, as in omnipotence. I'm not saying that's what you jump to, but I'm saying potence as in ability to do things, exert power. So once capable of potency, get me? Apprehension and integration of your environment, in a sensible and deliberated context that implicates understanding and successful synchronization to reality as a rule set and Platonic domain coupling, among others. You have established a link by means of graphical user interface to your contextual existence. Next is arguable status. Being social, you could argue what truly counts as and is derived from your absolute status as such is the ability to accurately and reliably exert influence and control over your environment to your benefit and or desires whatsoever they be. This is adequately ascertained by physicality and mentation in the maximum, and a external internal motoric locus that extends across one's whole environment at volition, will, is more than enough to render an entity maximally embedded and unitary with their environment. It's how you win the game of evolution, but existence itself. There is no loss besides the inevitable and unavoidable absolutes. Intertwined with that, any form of covariance or direct correlational causality implicit to a conscious and environmentally synonymized body would be a mind of equivalently unfathomable breadth. It's kind of like width, or, yeah. And coherence aligning mind. It's configuring everything that pertains to it as it's concerned to a state of coherence that may absolutely meld with the very qualitative nature or essence of the local time space at a fundamentally complete and full integration level of psiosness, knowing, and ability to know, and leveraged to the ultimate degree that a limitless approach may avail of such a being. Not all is availed of us, however, seeing as we are constrained to our limited vessels and being as, at present, non-meta-iterable individuals. While total control of a given framework would deliver the highest conceivable level of status, we must outsource our self-volition partially, and in fact profoundly so, into the determinative algorithm, yet branching possibility web grids of cooperative or competitive dependence upon the action of other individuals. And this tactic to accomplish ends is used rather effectually by anything from eusocial insects to meerkat bands and many mammals, but when organized according to intellectual estimations, empathetic and rational behavior, mass intentionality, and shared labor between the contemplative agencies distributed across living and highly self-realizing entities, like human beings, the potential for leveraging collective and progressively gradational action and improvement, elevating across strata, becomes dynamically expansive. Strictly functional evaluation would suggest that being generally social offers a degree of utility and benefit, a greater degree of utility and benefit than status could impart. Status has an inherent limit subject to the extent of physical, determinative, and social control, and can be revoked under permissive conditions, as well as eternally regressing and shifting concerning hierarchical volition. Kind of will of the, ranked hive, so some members will be able to reverberate down that pyramid a little more. An emperor without his people is but a man in a fancy structure with only himself to fall upon. Status is a fickle conditionality with a substantial ceiling informed by sharp curves of diminishing returns, but social altruism can benefit even those who suffer at the bottom of the sum total of human society, and they can contribute things. Status is tightly linked to survivability rates for less social animals, with a positive correlation between... I hate when that happens, when you get a positive correlation between such things. Okay. With a positive correlation between relative status and rates of survival in imminently life-threatening crises. I think this happens with certain birds if they start getting sick. The aristocracy of them, so to speak, are the ones who make it. evidently a feedback loop of questionable sensibility. But by statistical benefit and accessibility, social behavior is of greater overall utility, while status is a better indicator of singular stability and individual achievement. Money is only a construct validation for the concept of value. Value varies by context as pertains within the distinctual nature of the thing in itself, its own nature by definition, is what I call that. For humans, this value cannot be universally agreed upon, though there are some commonalities by essential and personal needs and largely universal needs that may not be able to be met by the upper limit of what money represents. Saying that basically can't serve as an avenue to take care of us all in the way that we truly need. It is largely a transmutation mechanism, prone to disproportionate conversion by exploitable and calculated manipulation and leveraging tactics, and is largely a control mechanism to provide incentive for functional and preferable behaviors which are subordinated to a jaggedly negotiated outcome. It acts as an access card to obtain various sought-after personal inclinations and or initiatives. This is a shorthand method of more efficiently acquiring what could be and, in fact, by requisite necessity, is obtainable through the presiding and superordinate means. So I'm saying you could, if you want, like a multivitamin, if you had a physical body and a brain that could act more quickly and more effectively on its own, you'd just be able to do that. You'd be your own supplement company. You'd go into the earth, get the minerals, and put them together in a better way than anyone else. But, I mean, of course, it wouldn't apply to you anymore at that point. You're like a different kind of entity. But money is only an extension that follows from an imperative of unknown origin. That time, energy, estimation, innovation, gratification, and material must be sacrificed on an ongoing basis to improve the baseline conditions underlying and plaguing human reality by mode of perpetual threat forever constant. Under the ultimatum of visceral annihilation, destruction of your body, your only anchor in this place. This is where I would find it necessary to include temperamental variables, but as with awareness itself, this was not an item for discussion. Fundamental disposition, however, plays a substantial role above the gradient observed by conventionally or specifically attractive aesthetic features. By factor analysis, Balkan researchers extracted multiple variables superior or comparable to attractiveness, which was not systematically analyzed in the study on its own. The composite factor in this case being the notion of charisma, another construct to validate as with value by money and some. The more important convergent factors weighted relative to the composite factor charisma by categorical order of relevance to the global concept formation, with factors contribution represented by percentage of the variability as follows, construed as traits being communicative, 17.3% of total variance, attracts admiration and inspires, 14%, honest and reliable, 12.3% of total variance, attractive, 10.5%, calm and visionary, 8.1%, powerful and dominant, 7.5%. Now, if you're a person and you've lived and looked at life, this sort of intuitively makes sense to you. It's like, oh yeah, those do fit. That would work that way probably. Kind of feels like 7.5%, or what so have you, with a remaining indeterminate variance of 30% that I suspect. Just skip to the end. Let's focus. Let's not brain rot just yet. That I suspect is comprised of reciprocity, generalized contributive utility, okay, and contextual in-group nepotism rank at about 10% each. This would imply that while certainly helpful to the ends of life success and somewhat indicative of genetic desirability to some degree, looks as posed in this query would be the least relevant and categorically beneficial aspect that could be assigned to a conscious agent in our current configuration of reality. Hopefully I wasn't just covering my mic there. And that was indeed what I was typing. Oh my fucking god, profound autism, if you say so, on the retondulation. That's mis-exculpatory to the true travesty committed here today. You have so much You have to so much harsher to proportionify this absolute monstrosity that hate crimes may not cross the threshold we need towards me. Bro did not say proportionify. Miss exculpatory. VCI of a dictionary, that means verbal comprehension index. Everyone had this. Their TISM tracker. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. I don't know what this meme was, but hey, I guess it was Italian. That was actually a nice. Okay, 145. Give him some. What am I talking about? This legendary video. I hope I don't see something like dangerous, you know? That was rats once. What's happening? It really is. Shout out to J Regular. Okay, that's enough of that. I don't want to get the stream flagged, so I'm not scrolling any further. You get the idea. Fun times. It was the times of times, and it was the times of times of all time. 100% confidence in saying that. Oh shit, dude. Okay, so basically, where did I go? Yeah boy. So that basically summarizes the video. It saved me storage space on my phone instead of just recording myself and then posting it. Now we're just going to use the stream to do that. Big noggin. Okay, so what I mean to say by all that, other than cheese in Spanish, is you have to control for physical sovereignty over the world as it pertains to how you desire to configure it. And you have to get that right, too, big time, first of all, before anything else. It's not like just you that's going to be affected by this, dude. You gotta cause universal harmony and empathy and flourishing, just thriving utopia. Because what else are you doing otherwise? Reality should just burn out. If you make it worse, that's totally counterproductive. You should just not do anything. So you also need IQ. You need physical sovereignty and IQ. You have to be able to know the right things. You have to be accurate, and you have to be able to decide them once you know. And then the status is really irrelevant, and if you start fractioning yourself into your own hive mind, it's all you. But like hungry you is different from sleepy you, is different from mad you. You know, you already have multiple compartmentalized selves in your neural network. So what that means really is it's a small form of dissociative identity disorder going on in all of us. The prefrontal cortex kind of controls that, so I would assume the overmind of you, yourselves at that point would be kind of like that. It's integrating top down, you know, but taking into consideration the signals from everything. So you could be a society unto yourself, even though you wouldn't need to be, per se. You could just specialize at all things all the time by specializing in generalization. And as for status, that doesn't really matter if you have the other things, but pretty much skyrocketed to the absolute peak of it forever. Like irreversibly so. And you can take everyone else there with you too. You only stay above them insofar as they need to be controlled because they didn't undergo the process you did. So if they jacked into your god brain power, being, you know, not cut out for it, we send people to medical school, right? So why would we do anything else? Why would we do anything else different? This keeps getting stuck here. Oh, I definitely want to know. I have to know, okay? But, anyway, dude. This keeps pushing the Antichrist at me, dude. You're not giving me schizophrenia. No, not today. Alright. enough of that. You get the idea. Perchance, maybe.